Welcome to Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio coverage of 16 NTC. We're at the 2016 Nonprofit Technology Conference at the Convention Center in San Jose, California. Second session of the conference, and I'm with Tiffany Neal and Ann Crowley. Tiffany, seated closest to me, is a partner at Lautman, Maska, Neal and Company, and Ann Crowley is Vice President of Membership and Online Strategy for Human Rights Campaign. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your session topic is what? You mean there's more to mail than just writing copy for a fundraising email. So we're going to go way beyond just good copy. Let's see. Tiffany, what do you believe is the sort of shortcoming that a lot of shortcomings that a lot of nonprofits have around email marketing?
I think a lot of organizations spend a lot of time thinking about that first message that people are going to receive, and they don't take a lot of time thinking about the total experience that that person is going to have once they choose to engage with that email. So they don't think about it in terms of the supporter or the donor who's receiving that message. They just say, I am sending this wonderful email, and they will just do exactly what I want.
And there's a whole process.
There's a whole process.
That begins with engagement
Exactly.
through your well-written email.
Exactly.
And we'll talk a little about subject line, et cetera, but yeah, we want the whole process.
Exactly. I mean, I can ignore every email in my inbox if I want to. That's my prerogative. And I think a lot of times nonprofits just assume because Human Rights Campaign, which is a wonderful organization, is sending a message that everyone's going to open it and respond.
Ann, did you feel that you needed some help around your email channel?
I think we've been very fortunate in our ability to send out emails and get people to respond, but that's mostly because our issue has really been on the front lines of the what's happening in the last few years. But I do believe it is getting harder to get folks to open our emails and engage. Once we've gotten past marriage equality, the response rates were starting to see a slight decline.
Okay. And you do have, it seems like Human Rights Campaign would have headlines nearly every day, if not, we have refugee crises around the world, and I'm just scratching the surface. You work there, but there's a lot to talk about.
Yes, although HRC only works on LGBT issues in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then the refugee crisis worldwide is inappropriate?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Very good. Still, all right, so after marriage equality, okay, so then you didn't have so many headlines to draw from.
Correct, yeah. It just got a little bit more of a challenge. Although right now we're experiencing a lot of states trying to revoke a lot of the rights that have been voted in.
Yes.
So it's still very pertinent and happening, and that's our job, is to get people to stay with us and engage in the same level that they had been.
Okay. Let's stay with you, Ann. How should we first approach our thinking about an email campaign that we want to kick off?
Yeah, I think it depends. Is it fundraising or is it advocacy? And if it's advocacy, is that because something is currently going on right now that you need to engage your list in? And if the answer to the advocacy question is yes, then we always ask ourselves, what is the theory of change? If we send out this email and we ask our list to do something, what is going to come out of their action? So, for instance, we are in the middle of trying to get Congress, in particular the Judiciary Committee, to hold a hearing for the vacancy of the Supreme Court. And we've been asking our list to directly email Mitch McConnell and hold a hearing. So there's a clear theory of change there. So if it's fundraising and you guys, organizations feel like they need to send out emails to raise money, which we all do, then really think about what the message is. And as Tiffany alluded to earlier, not only what the message is initially, but what the visuals are, what comes after they send in money. Is there a proper thank you? There's just various steps to the process.
Okay, again, a long process. But it sounds like starting with what is your goal?
Exactly.
Ultimately, there's some call to action.
That's right.
Is it fundraising? Is it volunteering?
Right.
Is it letter writing? Is it calling?
Right. Is it signing a petition? Yeah.
Yeah.
Calling the governor? Yeah, that's exactly right. We really stop and think about every situation, and if something is needed and we feel like we can make a difference in particular in a state, for instance, then we're going to do it.
Okay. All right, so Tiffany, after we've got our goal set, where do we go from there?
Well, I think where it starts from is who is that message going to be from?
Okay.
And I think that sender is something that, especially with HRC, we spend a lot of time thinking about and testing different senders to make sure that when someone's looking at a bunch of emails in their inbox, they want to open this. It's from somebody that they feel has something to tell them that they need to respond to. So that's the first part, is to figure out who's this message going to be from.
Okay, who it's from, and I guess maybe this is subsumed in what you were saying, Ann, but who's it going to?
Yeah.
Which
that's right.
subset of our constituency is going to get this? Okay. Okay. All right. We've got our sender. We've tested, and testing, of course, important throughout this process. How does that work? I mean, if you're trying to, listeners are trying to inaugurate a campaign, how do you test and kick off at the same time?
Well,
how do these work together?
It's great with a sender because we can send 10% of the message out and send half of that 10% one sender and half of that 10% another sender, and whichever sender gets more opens, then we send that out to the rest of the constituencies. Okay. So those kind of things we can test really in real time so that we know we can get the immediate response.
Would subject line fall into that
subject
category
line
too?
falls in that, the preview text, the thing that people see in their inbox before they actually open the message, those first few words, all of those things we test on the outbound message, especially with things that are time sensitive. We want to get those test results back quickly so that we can implement it, and if people need to act quickly, we get to them right away.
Can we spend a minute on something that's a little bit of a peeve, which is seeing in that preview to view this message better,
right?
If it's not rendering right in your mobile version, click here.
Right.
Is that a terrible waste of landscape?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
This is called what? The preview pane?
Preview text.
Text.
Preview text.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And actually, we in our presentation today, we actually touch on that because I think it's one of those things that organizations are moving so quickly. Maybe they haven't thought about the experience. But for us, HRC, our list is younger than a lot of other organizations, and therefore there's a higher usage of their mobile when they're reading our emails. So we do everything mobile optimized, figuring that our folks are reading it on their phone, they're moving quickly. We're going to say it in the preview text what we want them to do or what the issue is. And at that point, they're going to decide to open it and go take the next step or not.
Okay. When you have your session, would you please tell the audience, this ticks me off?
I will.
We will say Tony is very annoyed by that.
Come by booth 134 and render your support for proper preview text.
Well, it's one of the things that HRC does well is there's an army of testers, and every tester has a different mobile device. So what may work on Apple may not work on Android. So Tony, if you have a different phone, yours may break up and someone else's won't. So we do all of that testing before the message ever goes out to the constituents.
You know, even at work, some of us work out of Outlook and some of us work out of Google, and things render differently. And while maybe annoying, I'm always the Outlook girl, so I'm always like, it looks funny on Outlook, and so for the 7 other Outlook users, we're gonna see it right.
Okay, all right. What else? Let's stay with this for a couple of seconds. What else can we easily test? We've got sender, subject line, preview text. What else simple to text?
The other thing that we test is in the call to action, the words that appear on the button where we're asking people to do something. Anne really wants to test click here. We're calling it the 1990s test. But we've found that saying, Tony, act now versus just act now versus, change this, do their job.
Chip in. I see more organizations using chip in.
Exactly.
Chip in,
I think
contribute.
started with chip in, and now I see
exactly. And those are easy things to test, and you can test it on a small number and then see how many people take the action that you intended them to, and then roll that out to the rest.
You said earlier, we're testing to maybe just 10% of the audience,
we debate test quantities frequently, but yes, I mean, in general, it's about 10% of the total.
Okay, seems like you have a good relationship. I mean, you're going back and forth frequently on,
absolutely,
still sitting next to each other. It's civil.
Yeah, no.
It's very civil.
Tiffany and her team at Lawman are terrific, and we really view them as extensions of the Human Rights Campaign staff.
Okay.
Well, and to the point about subject lines, Anne is frequently a sender of the HRC emails, and one Saturday, there was an email from Anne, and it was an official HRC email, but the subject line was, I know it's Saturday, but, and we all opened it very quickly because we assumed it was work-related and something we had to do.
Yeah, it worked.
It worked really well.
That was an accident. Is that the...
No, it was...
it was intentional.
Everyone just forgot that was going out that day at 10 a.m. on Saturday, and that was the subject line.
All right, well done. Yeah. The best stuff comes from improvisation.
It's true.
Call it improvisation.
It's true.
All right, so we've done some simple testing. And what's our next step in this campaign?
Well, I'm a big believer in the visuals. So if you can have a picture in the call-out box, I'm also a big believer, frankly, in the call-out box. I feel like the call-out box is the next step after the preview text. You get somebody to open it because the preview text is either intriguing enough or important enough. It feels to me that most people then go to the call-out box. And the call-out,
let's define
yeah.
it. Yeah, please.
So if you're looking at the email, the call-out box can be in the center. For us, it's often to the right, and it's literally a boxed section. And it's in my mind, it's the headline. It's the action in a nutshell. We want you to do X because of Y. And it's a shortened version. If you want to read more, there's the whole email text that you can read and learn more about what the issue is. But the call-out box is going to tell you what we want you to do, why, and it's going to have a click. It's going to have a button or a link to click and immediately do the action or send in the money.
So this is for somebody who's maybe just previewing. They read this call-out box, but ultimately it's the same action as if you got to the,
that's right.
the middle of the full text
That's
or the
correct.
bottom of the text.
That's right.
Same action.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so for us too, we have a link or a button often throughout the email, throughout the call-out box. I mean, we really make it easy for people to immediately take action versus going through the entire thing.
Okay. Do we have statistics on how popular the call-out box is versus
That's a good question.
going further into the text?
We would be able to know the amount of clicks from the call-out box versus the other clicks.
Yeah, we could measure it. I don't think we have, though.
No, it's a good
You
question.
you found the flaw in the program,
That's
Tony.
right.
You've done some consulting work this morning. We should
new
look into
test.
that. It is a new test.
All right,
like
cool.
that.
And we
I
don't,
like
all right,
that.
see, this is valuable.
We'll put that on the
Contributing-
testing list.
Contributing to the session.
Yeah.
If
Exactly.
your audience would not have heard this
No.
Yeah.
if you had not been here before.
Yeah.
Before the session. All right. No charge.
Thank you, thank you.
No, I'm thinking through with you.
No, it's true.
It's
a good point.
It's actually very gratifying.
Yeah, that's
It doesn't happen often, so I'm going to milk it. Okay, let's see. All right, so we get past our email. No, we're also obviously testing different body of the text, right? Now that's more elaborate, right?
Yeah, it's more elaborate, and it's funny. We've tested some copy things, but often what we'll test is copy heavy versus image heavy. Things that are more substantial, that are going to move the needle a bit more.
Okay.
We try not to. There's tests that are interesting, and then there's tests that we want to do that are really trying to get people to move the issues forward. And so we haven't tested a lot within the copy itself, unless it's specifically the call to action.
That's interesting. Now, because this is what I think people focus on the most.
They do.
So their focus is misplaced? It's okay to say it.
well, I
We
won't-
want people to improve.
We want people to improve. I'll just speak for us. I mean, for HRC, I don't think that is where our focus should be, which is why it's not there. For other organizations, it may be different.
And we have tested for other organizations that may have a cause or a mission where they're trying to figure out their messaging. And in that case, figuring out how they want to state their case for support, that's a critically important test to do. And that's something that should probably be done over several email messages where you have control groups getting a similar theme. Or if you have a mission that has several different components. You spoke earlier about international work, trying to figure out what part of the world people care about. That's something that is worth testing heavily. With HRC, there's a
I
clear
really
mission.
don't appreciate you bringing up the erroneous thing. The one thing I said wrong.
Well,
I was
see,
trying to overshadow that with my brilliant.
we gave you
testing
we gave you the
testing
brilliant
the call-out box. No, now you got to remind people that I screwed up in the beginning. What? Jeez.
He
All right.
does not get the I was right hat. So yeah, but that's I mean for some groups it's critically important. For HRC,
Okay.
we have so many other things.
They're sort of past that.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that's true.
All right. So now let's move to next stages. So we've refined our email as best we can. Next step is it a landing page?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to speak to what do we test it? We test every landing pages, right?
So it's interesting. I mean, there's different landing pages. So for HRC, if it's asking for a donation, they're landing on a donation page. And we spend a lot of time and energy in testing and thinking through exactly what they're going to see when they get to that landing page.
Yeah.
the donation page, because one of the things that HRC does very effectively is try to get people to make monthly gifts. So we try to look at the donor experience of saying, what's going to encourage me to sign up as a monthly donor? So we test what the text is. We test what numbers are in the different donation options.
Sure.
We test, and there's a brand new donation page for HRC. So that whole process. If it's an action, then it's a landing page where you're asking people to take that action. And in that case, we just try to go for clarity, making sure that it's very clear what you're being asked to do. And as Anne said, making sure that theory of change is prominent so that people understand when they take that action, they're having a positive impact on the issues they care about.
Okay, and landing page?
Yeah, I mean, listen, first off, it's tough to get people to open your emails. That's number one. So now you've gotten them to open it, you've gotten them to read it, you've gotten them to click to the landing page or to the action page or to the contribution page. You have them. So you don't want to lose them at that point. So in our minds, if they've gotten through to that point, and let's say it's a fundraising email, make it as simple and as quick as possible to just have them, hit the button and charge their credit card. Don't spend a lot of time reiterating everything you've just said in the email. Mm-hmm. And if it's an action page, same kind of thing. Clear, concise. We've laid out the case for you. This petition is going to go to the governor for X, Y, and Z reason. Click here. So,
You've already gotten them where you want it to be.
Yeah, you've gotten them to take out their wallet.
Don't oversell it.
Yeah.
It basically is.
Yeah.
Well, and make it consistent with the experience. I think one place where some organizations fall down is they'll have that go to just a generic landing page or a generic donation page that doesn't in any way reflect the experience they were having. So it won't have, we work to make sure that the headlines are the same as in the emails they received and that sort of thing. So that's one of the reasons that we put this session together, is because we were looking at the industry, at things that people could be doing better that HRC does really well, and go from there.
I feel so strongly about consistent conversation with the reader that if we offer, say, a premium in the email for a certain amount, let's say it's $35, and then they land on the contribution page and it doesn't mention it again, or we don't star the $35, I'm like, guys, we've just said this is going to cost $35. Then they land on the donation page and we don't make that reference again. Mm-hmm. So for me, it really is about the user having an authentic conversation with your reader, with your list, and having a consistent, authentic conversation.
Yeah. And reassuring.
Yeah.
I read this on the last page, but now it doesn't say it anymore.
Exactly.
$35.
Yeah, like, did I end up in the wrong page?
Right. Am I going to get what I wanted? It's really important.
Okay. Consistency, right? Conversation, very good.
Mm-hmm.
After landing page, we have a share page or some kind of post response?
Post-action.
Post-action. Yeah.
And that's especially one of the other opportunities that HRC takes advantage of is if the main action is to get people to sign a petition or call their congressperson or something like that, there's always a follow-up action where they're given the opportunity to give. Because as Anne said, if you've captured someone so deeply around this issue that they took the time to read the email, to click it, to fill out the petition, they are most likely to want to embrace you even more and make a gift. So that's a real opportunity to encourage people to give that a lot of organizations miss out on. And if it's a donation, once people have donated, we want them to feel good about it, so we give them the chance to share the issue or to sign a petition or take another step so that the experience continues.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You always say thank you.
Always say thank you.
Obviously. And if they, as Tiffany said, if they've taken an action, they'll get an email that said, "Okay, great, your action's been sent to the governor or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Now, would you like to do more? Here's an opportunity to give a donation." It's not heavy-handed. It's just they're given the opportunity. Many people don't, but we're often surprised at the amount of money that comes in from a post-action donation page. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Pleased. Very pleased.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't cost anything extra to add that step, really.
Yeah.
So
I never thought they were that successful. I guess I'm not. Obviously, don't go by me.
Yeah, and it depends on the issue. I mean, for some people, certain issues are going to be more important, and they are going to not only take the action but then donate. For others, they're comfortable with just taking the action. Yeah. But always give them the opportunity, because you never know.
Right. Okay. You're spending some time in your session too talking about an autoresponder.
Yeah.
Or what are we talking about first? I want to keep you out of jargon jail.
So
But I'm the one who said it. But I'll let you get me out of jargon jail.
it's just that message that people automatically get through email once they've taken an action or made a contribution. And a lot of email providers are set up to kind of send those auto-respond messages. And some organizations, all that auto-respond message says is, thank you for taking an action. With the Human Rights Campaign, we think through what that says so that it is, as Anne says, consistent with the action they just took. It follows the experience they just had. And a lot of times that will also give people another chance to act. They'll get a chance to do something else when they get that autoresponder, or that message that they get right away. And as Anne said, it always says thank you.
Yeah.
Usually.
So the autoresponder is immediate. This is the immediate follow-up.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. We didn't talk about including video. We mentioned a little about images. What about use of video in the email? Are you doing that more often? Is it is it working?
Not in the email directly, because it affects the it affects rendering, I believe, right?
Yeah. It can hurt
how
delivery.
The little box is going to show up? Or
what people see on mobile, it doesn't, because the HRC has found that they have, when they actually embed the video within the email, all of the open rates, click-through rates, that sort of thing fall just because of potential rendering issues on different people's individual technologies. So what we do instead is...
Yeah, so we'll have an image of a video and with an arrow, so it looks like you're hitting the play button, but it actually takes you to, in our case, YouTube, which is where we'll embed the video, and that way they can see it. And it's a quick transition from that email to the video.
Okay.
And then within that video, we try to have words so that if people are viewing it without sound, they can still get the essence of what the piece was. So last year, for example, at the end of the year, HRC had a very successful year last year. Marriage equality was done by the Supreme Court. There were a lot of good activities. So to give their members a chance to participate, members were encouraged to send in their photos of the year and to make a year-end video. So we thought, I thought maybe a couple thousand people.
Yeah.
I don't know how many you thought would do it. I thought maybe 2,000-3,000.
Yeah, I didn't expect much, but we got 17,000 pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, people were so excited to be a part of this. It was really, I got phone calls from members saying, I sent in my pictures, could you please include them? I got permission from the photographer to include them. We got an ambassador calling, we got board members calling. I mean, this ended up being so important. It really surprised me.
So then when we put that video together, we had words throughout it sort of highlighting what the different groups of photos were, but we really let the photos speak for themselves. But the overall campaign, we had to really think it through because there were so many more pictures than we thought there would be.
Right.
We created a series of photo albums on Facebook and then had other emails where in post actions or things like that, people were encouraged to then go to social media to see the rest of the pictures, because clearly we couldn't put 17,000 pictures in a video, or it would just be...
But
like a Michael Bay movie or
you were
something.
able to make it very, very inclusive.
Yeah.
All right.
It was clear to us that to not include, I mean, everyone took it so seriously that we wanted to honor that feeling for them and include them wherever we could.
All right, we're gonna leave it there.
Great.
We're gonna leave it with inclusiveness.
Okay,
That's good.
I like
Play
it.
For a Human Rights Campaign.
Yes,
That's perfect.
Now that Tony Martinetti's learned what the Human Rights Campaign does, I don't mind. It's okay if I do it, Tiffany. But that's the issue.
It's okay.
No,
It's okay.
no. Tiffany Neal is a partner, Lautman, Maska, Neal and Company, and Ann Crowley, Vice President, Membership and Online Strategy at Human Rights Campaign. Again, ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a-
Tony.
Thanks so much
Thanks.
for sharing.
All right,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Tony Martignetti, nonprofit radio coverage of 2016 Nonprofit Technology Conference. Thank you so much for being with us.